Last year here on Ghostbusters News, we took a look at Deadliners, an episode of Extreme Ghostbusters that I feel is one of the series' very best. It mixes comedy with straight up horror. Well, I mean as much horror as you can put into a children's cartoon. And this episode, it has the Extreme Ghostbusters going against an ensemble of creatures that have clearly been inspired by Hellraiser's Cenobites. But what if I was to tell you that there's another episode that manages to give a nod, a wink, hey, maybe even a laugh or two, to yet another well-known horror property? One of the most beloved B-movie horror films of the 1980s, in fact. I'm talking about Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Holy.
Now, taking a look at the episode, once again called Killjoys, it opens with some guy wearing a tuxedo, and he just missed his bus, prompting him to walk down the darkest alleyway imaginable.
Oh, boy, you nearly scared the life out of me, Mac. You street performers that hard up for a lousy buck?
After listening to this guy for just like 4 seconds, I gotta admit, I'm on Team Clown here.
I didn't mean it. Here, take it.
Wait a minute, walking down a dark alleyway, opening up your wallet like that, yeah, I can see why that guy was carrying a suitcase, as he's certainly a tourist. There is no way he's from New York.
Get away!
Okay, whoa, yeah, so that's horrifying. From the burp there, it seems like we are led to believe that the clown just consumed that guy, which does parallel Killer Klowns from Outer Space, that sees the face-painted aliens cover their victims in cotton candy cocoons, only to then consume them using one of those funky loopy straws.
Dwayne the bathtub, I'm drowning! Don't you get it?
Okay, so for that joke, now I hope Roland is next. And for those that think his voice sounds pretty familiar and you can't place him, Roland here, he's played by Alfonso Ribeiro, aka Carlton Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Something ecto this way came.
Kylie just going out of her way to drop a Macbeth reference.
I was going to call the police, but when he melted, I thought maybe I'd better call you.
Okay, so wait a minute here. You haven't called the police yet? Instead, you chose to call the Ghostbusters.
Wise choice, ma'am.
No. A guy just practically melted in an alleyway. I think the best course of action would be to call the police first. From there, the Ghostbusters split up, which means it doesn't take long for one of them to have a run-in with that same clown. The clown picking Kylie up off the ground tries to both scare the holy heck out of her, but also entertain her with this puppet? By the way, puppet scene also a nod to Killer Klowns from Outer Space? Maybe? The clown's advances, they get no reaction from Kylie, leading him to enter a nearby apartment complex, melting or eating, or I guess maybe even drinking another victim?
Why didn't it take me?
Maybe because it doesn't, like girls?
No, it heard something. Laughter.
Cue one of the Ghostbusters laughing in 3, 2... Despite being in a room now full of death, Roland cannot contain himself. And holy gozer, that moment was actually pretty terrifying. I mean, once again, as terrifying as a kid's cartoon show probably can get. Oh, I guess I should talk about this, as the episode does have kind of an underlining storyline going on between Eduardo and Garrett, where there's a little bit of tension, causing this proton stream swinging contest, but regardless, the clown, it does get busted.
Ecto Man got a clown in the can. Ecto Man taught the clown who's the man.
Ray Parker Jr., he's not. And hey, everybody watching, hopefully you like clowns. Because guess what? There's more clowns. 3 of them, in fact. One of which even has boxing gloves, likely another nod to...
Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Holy.
Eduardo gets dropped off at home, and there's a Jack in the Box, and he mistakes it for junk mail, and holy crap. This episode, it just brings the spooktacular creepiness. And while not exact, this scene does remind me of a moment from Killer Klowns from Outer Space again.
Eduardo, that looks like a nasty cut.
It's just a scratch. No big deal.
Huh. I'm sure he'll be fine. This is just all gonna blow over, right?
What are you gonna do with those pies, boys?
So for those out there that may have been wondering what happens to the victims, this apparently is what happens to the victims. And wait, did that one cause the clown's finger to sprout a small bit of hair? As the insane clown posse make their getaway, Eduardo, he spaces out, making it pretty apparent as to what's gonna happen. In fact, it doesn't take long for him to pretty much go full clown. Containing Eduardo in a holding tank, Egon makes a pretty good comparison.
Perhaps the vampire analogy holds true. A vampire is known to either feed on a victim or turn the victim into one of their own, if they so choose.
And just like the real Ghostbusters, damn it, Slimer, you're gonna ruin it.
I'll give you some cotton candy.
Slimer, no!
Doing a little detective work, they find the clowns are holding up at Coney Island. And hey, wait a minute here, another nod to Killer Klowns? And now it looks like Roland may finally be next, thanks to Eduardo's horrifying big top debut.
You hit Roland!
Shooting Roland with a proton stream, that seems like it could have been a better scenario. I mean, your friend, he was just eaten in front of you by another one of your friends. Violent J and Shaggy 2-Dope wind up revealing their true forms, those freaky mouth tentacle things, and this eventually leads to a big cotton candy and circus peanut smelling manifestation, serving as the clown's apparent leader.
Could still be hope for Eduardo!
Once again, you just saw Eduardo eat Roland. What about hope for Roland? He's dead. Now wait a minute, is that an in-disguise Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle? No, it's just Slimer with what looks like a voice box hidden inside a Wonder Bread bag. From there, Egon, he just shows up, and he, Slimer, Kylie, and Garrett, they bust that big baddie, and guess what? Good news, Eduardo, he is fine. And Roland, well, Roland, he's naked, just like Alfonso in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And that does it for a look back at the Extreme Ghostbusters episode, Killjoys. Before we cap off this video, I'd be remiss not to mention the weird connection that Ghostbusters has to Killer Klowns from Outer Space. I mean, outside of this episode of Extreme Ghostbusters. As Charlie and Steven Chioda, two of the brothers behind Killer Klowns from Outer Space, the creators of it, they worked on creature design for Universal Studios Florida's Ghostbusters The Spooktacular stage show. And yeah, I mean, come on, it clearly shows. If you've got a request for a future Ghostbusters video for us, be sure to submit it using the Ghostbusters News Patreon page. A link to that is down below in the description. As always, subscribe, and I'll see you right back here next time.